The gods don't wait for tourists. Tonight, we're not just telling a story. We're stepping across a veil into a world where pain is currency, ritual is law, and every breath is borrowed from a god that might not give it back. Here, the sun is not a ball of fire in the sky. It is a living deity with an appetite. And someone, maybe you, must feed it. You don't know it yet, but today will echo through time. You were not born here, but you will either survive here or disappear. Now close your eyes. The year? Somewhere between 900 and 1400 AD. Before Columbus. Before steel ships. Before maps could say your name. You wake up in the highlands of the Yucatan, or near the sacred waters of Lake Texcoco. It doesn't matter. No one will ask where you're from. They'll only ask what you can give. The taste of first breath. The sky is a bruised, sullen blue. The light strikes the ground not like sunlight, but like punishment. The air smells of limestone sweat and the smoke of burning maize. You don't speak the language, but your body already knows the first word of the day. Obey. You lie on a woven mat. It's barely enough to keep the earth from touching your bones. A one-room hut. Walls of mud and twig, roof of palm fronds and thyme. There is no privacy, only survival. You slept beside others last night. Not family, not friends, just bodies, like yours, trying to matter. You are not awakened by a mother's voice, not by an alarm, but by drums, low, hollow, rising. The temple drums speak before the sun does. They do not ask, they command. Your eyes snap open. You don't know where you are, but your knees do. You crawl to them. It's time to thank the sun for letting you live. No one cares that you're lost. You step outside. The village breathes before you do. Ash, clay, bone. The world is painted in survival. Smoke coils from each hut. Children chase mangy dogs. Women grind corn with hands that haven't forgotten war. The sound of stone against stone echoes like memory. You are not looked at, because here you're not special. You are a mouth to feed, a body to command, a soul to weigh. You feel it, a presence. You look up. The temple rises above the village like a god's tooth, steep, sharp, unforgiving. At the top, a priest, already painted in jaguar spots and dried blood, arms lifted. The gods are watching. No one asks your name. Someone shoves a bowl into your hands. It's pozole. But not the kind you know. Watery, bare, floating with kernels of white maize that look like little bones. You drink, it burns your throat. It's not for taste, it's for not fainting. You don't know your job yet, but you will. In this village, time is borrowed. So are people. A shout breaks the air. Rough, male, commanding. A figure approaches, bronze skin, obsidian blade on his back, a jade stud in his nose. He does not ask who you are. He says, "The fields, now." You nod. You don't even think about saying no. The weight of dirt you walk, past other bodies, all moving, all sweating, all not asking questions. Your feet are raw, because here shoes are earned, and you haven't earned anything. You try to remember the century, your name, your mother's face, but the heat swallows those things. You arrive at the fields, terraces carved into the hillside like offerings, green gold, glinting with heat. The soil stares back at you. A tool is pushed into your hands, wood, stone, heavier than it looks. You hold it wrong. Someone laughs, you copy, you swing, you sweat, you become part of the machine. Time isn't a clock. It could be 1 hour. It could be 3 days. There is no ticking here. Only blisters. Only the sun. The wind stings your face. The bugs bite like curses. You hear a child's laugh, running by wearing a mask of feathers, shouting a song about Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. You smile. Then a voice behind you. "Stop smiling. Work like you're worth your shadow." You stop. Here, even shadows are expected to pull their weight. Myth is law. Midday, the sun stands still, or so the stories say. An elder raises his hand. Work halts, not from mercy, from ritual. You are told, "Kneel, face the temple. The priest has changed. This one wears tears painted on his cheeks. He holds a bird, it squirms. Then a stingray spine across its throat. A single drop of blood falls onto the altar stone. No one cries. No one looks away. The elder whispers, "Now the sun will rise tomorrow." You wonder, what if it doesn't? The question creeps. In the wind shifts. It smells like fire and meat. Like death and memory. Your lips are cracked. Your hands are bleeding. And then it comes. Soft, small, terrifying. How many days could I survive here? Your brain doesn't answer. Your body does. 1, maybe. This world does not care about you. You are not a visitor. You are not special. You are either useful or forgotten. And the gods, they do not wait for tourists. You were not born here, but you will either survive here or disappear. Tomorrow you will wake up again. But waking is not the same as belonging. Not here. Not in the ancient Americas. Before your eyes even flicker open, the world speaks to your body. Not in words, but in scent. And the first thing it says is survive. It hits your nose like a blow. A sharp, sour stew of rotting leather, stale incense oil, damp dirt, and another person's sweat-soaked cloak. That cloak, it covered you last night, because nothing else would. Not warmth, not kindness, not even a voice, only darkness. pressed around you like the palm of something ancient and uncaring. Your mouth feels like ash. Your back locked tight from curling on a straw mat thinner than memory. Dust clings to your skin. Grit, smoke, sweat, and crushed stone ground into you like you belong to the ground now. You try to breathe deeper, but the air is thick, like breathing through someone else's lungs. You sit up slowly. It's darker than it should be. No windows, just reed slits cut into the wall, letting in blades of dawnlight that catch floating dust. Particles dancing like forgotten ancestors, disturbed by your motion. You're not alone. Two shapes lie near. One, a boy barely out of childhood. The other, a woman wrapped in a shawl that smells of corn husk, old labor, and dried tears. Neither stirs, only you, because this world has begun, and it doesn't wait for you. You step outside, not into relief, into heat, the kind that rises from the ground itself, not just warmth, but pressure, as if yesterday's curses are seeping back up through the soil to greet you. Then the sounds arrive. Dogs barking with urgency, children shouting, wood cracking under the weight of fire prep. A baby wailing, then soothed by a song older than language. You stand in the village's heart, a hive of thatched roofs, crooked fences, and red clay pots resting like silent watchers at every door. The smells follow: burnt maize, old sweat, feathers still damp with rain that hasn't come, and somewhere, barely there, the metallic twang of blood. Your stomach tightens, not in fear, but in hunger that feels like betrayal. A woman passes you, balancing a basket on her head. She doesn't make eye contact. A boy grinds soaked maize with lime powder. Nixtamal, they call it, not food, survival dough. You want to ask someone something, anything, but no sound leaves you. Because in this world, you don't ask. You watch, you learn, or you vanish. Then comes the voice, sharp, male, not angry, just done waiting. He points at you, then at a heavy bucket. You nod, though you don't know why. You pick it up. It's heavier than you guessed. The stink confirms it. Night soil, human waste, from elite homes. And you're the courier of filth now. No one tells you where to go. He just points to the jungle path. So you go. The bucket sloshes as you walk. Flies follow, a cloud of judgment buzzing in your wake. The jungle breathes around you, humid, alive, thick with green shadows and whispers you don't understand, but it's peaceful in its own way. You find the compost pit. A hole dug by hands like yours. A mouth in the earth for what the body rejects. You empty the bucket, and something in you settles, not with disgust. You lost that earlier. This is something else. Resignation. Number initiation. You're no longer just a visitor. You carry what others discard. On your way back, you pass a cenote, a sacred pool. Its water glows blue-green like an unblinking eye. A woman stands at its edge. Ash and crimson paint mark her face. In her hand, a jade bead. She drops it in with a whisper. Not for money, not even hope, for rain. It hasn't come in 5 days. You watch. You don't interrupt. Some things are older than language. Someone hands you a cup, warm, slightly thick, not water, not really. It smells like chili, lime, something bitter, earthy, maybe cacao husk, maybe rootstock. You drink, and for a fleeting second, the world slows, not stops, just slows, like it's giving you one small mercy. Surprise historical fact break. Grandfather Joe style voiceover insert. Did you know that in many ancient civilizations like the Maya, water wasn't just scarce, it was sacred? Cenotes weren't wells, they were mouths to the gods. People offered them blood, beads, even lives, and only the highest castes could drink from them. The rest of the people, they drank fermented corn or runoff, filtered with charcoal and lime if they were lucky. You keep walking past the cooking area. A woman slaps tortillas onto the comal. Each one hits the griddle like a heartbeat. She doesn't offer you any, not today. But the scent, roasted maize and squash, wraps around your ribs like longing. You're not starving, not yet, but your body is making plans without you. Nearby, a group of men talk in low tones. You can't tell if they're warriors, priests, or builders. Maybe all three. One word repeats, Huitzilopochtli. You don't know what it means, but it lands in your bones like thunder. A war god, and they're making offerings, or plans, or both. You're handed a new task. No words, just gesture. A stone, flat, heavy, warm from the sun. A child kneels beside you, already grinding. You copy him. The smell rises from the stone, ashes and crushed chili. Your hands turn dark. You look closer. They're bugs. Tiny dried corpses, cochineal, your grinding blood color. For temples, for gods, for war paint, for stories told in red. The boy beside you grins. His teeth are red too. The sun climbs higher. The heat presses harder. Your lips crack, your arms shake, and your mind whispers, "This is only the morning. How much more can one day hold?" Then, drums. Faster now. Urgent. A call echoes across the village. All hands to the square. You follow, because not following means disappearing. A crowd gathers. In the center, a boy, younger than you. His arm in a sling, but his eyes don't flinch. A priest steps forward. White painted skin, a crown of feathers. He speaks a language you don't know, but your body understands it The boy isn't being welcomed, he's being claimed by the gods for something that matters. The crowd cheers, then stillness. The boy turns. He walks toward the temple. He doesn't look back. You breathe in. Too shallow, still scorched. But now you understand the fire. And you whisper just once, I will not forget this. Whether you survive the day doesn't matter yet. You've entered the world, and it has marked you. You don't live here. You endure here. That's the first lesson. Your only task this morning is to make it to midday. Not to thrive, not to grow, not to speak, just to last. The sun isn't warm. It's loud, pressing down on your spine like judgment. Your hands ache from grinding pigment. Your belly rings hollow like a drum. Your mouth is dry, but not from thirst, from silence. You pass a group of villagers eating. They don't speak, they just chew. Heads bowed low. A watery soup, beans and chili, maybe a sliver of squash. But not for you, not yet. You're handed a bundle of twine and thorns. No words, just a gesture. Toward the animal pens. Goats, turkeys, dogs. You think you're meant to feed them, but no, you're told to bleed them. Not to kill, just enough to make them meaner. Because blood here is a kind of prayer. It makes things wild, and wildness is survival. You prick the turkey's foot. It shrieks, not from pain, but something deeper, like a warning, like prophecy. The blood drips onto dirt. No one flinches. A child nearby murmurs a prayer. The gods are watching, even now, especially now. You wash your hands in a wooden trough. Water thick with gnats. It doesn't clean you, just rearranges the filth. Then another task. Fetch water. But not from the cenote. That's sacred. You're pointed toward the river. It's not a river. It's a wound. A lazy green gash in the earth. Muddy, slow. The jug is heavy clay. Your feet slide on moss. A leech brushes your ankle. You don't scream, you feel it. Carry it back, spine bent, teeth clenched. A woman sees your trembling arms. She says something low, voice flat. You think she's saying you were supposed to be stronger. You pass the temple stairs. There's blood on the top step. Old or fresh, doesn't matter. Time doesn't clean here. It only darkens. You deliver the jug. You're handed 2 tortillas. Flat, warm, cracked at the edges, still breathing from the fire. You sit in the shadow of a hut. You chew slowly. No joy, just fuel. But the second tortilla? You don't eat it, you hide it. Tuck it beneath your cloth sash. Because somewhere deep inside you already know the next meal is not promised. You're called again. This time communal latrines, cleaning duty, dried gourds, ash, heat. The stench punches your lungs like a fist. You don't gag, because others are watching. They're always watching. You itch. You stink. You haven't bathed in days. A boy whispers of that near the cliffs. There's a pool where the women wash. But you won't be invited. Not yet. Not until you prove something. What you don't know. You nod. But inside, what if I don't belong here? What if they can tell I'm not one of them? You look at your hands. Red from cochineal. Calloused, burned, bleeding. And yet you feel like a guest in your own skin. A child passes, barefoot, smiling, cradling a baby bird with a broken wing. She stops, holds it out to you, says something soft. You don't understand her words, but you understand the offer. She wants you to help you wrap the wing carefully, like something sacred. The child nods and runs, no thanks, no ceremony, just a moment like breath, quick, silent, necessary. You sit there, alone again, your fingers shaking. You whisper, I can't do this, I'm not built for this. They'll see, they'll find out. I don't belong here. But the wind doesn't answer. Only the buzz of flies, the distant clang of obsidian on stone, the dry hiss of maize stalks whispering their gossip. You try to walk with purpose, but every step feels like a lie. Inside you, what if they notice? What if they see right through me? But you keep moving, because here, stillness is dangerous. Stillness draws questions, draws eyes, draws fate, and fate here is rarely kind. There's still work, always work. Sifting grain, sorting beans, drying mud bricks under the white sky. Your back cracks, your breath shortens, then lengthens, then disappears into rhythm. This isn't living, it's lasting, and not everyone does. At dusk someone gives you a bowl. Atole, warm, thin, smoky. You drink without tasting, just to fill the corners of your gut. A woman sits beside you, says nothing. She offers a piece of cloth, damp, scented with herbs. You wipe your hands. She nods and leaves. Another gesture, another thread in the web of survival. Night comes, but it doesn't bring peace. The world crackles, dogs pacing, reeds rattling, an elder's cough echoing like thunder. You lie on your mat, same as last night, curled, tense, exhausted. You eat half the tortilla you saved, in the dark. The other half, you save it. Because now you understand tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And as your eyes close, your final thought is not fear. It's this: I made it, barely. But the real question is, can I do it again? There's no mercy for weakness in your world. Not in the fields, not in the markets, and least of all, under the eyes of the gods. Because even if you've stopped believing in them, they have never stopped believing in you. In your sweat, in your silence, in the way you flinch when thunder rolls across the sky. They believe in your fear, and they listen to it. The morning doesn't begin with sunlight. It begins with smoke, thick and sacred, copal, curling from household altars in ghost-white spirals. You see a mother lift her child and wave the smoke across his head. She murmurs something into his soft scalp. You don't know the words, but you know the meaning. If you don't invite the gods to see you, you risk being forgotten by them. Then it happens. You are not invited, you are summoned. A boy touches your shoulder with fingers like leaves in the wind. He doesn't speak, he doesn't need to. His eyes say everything. You don't say no to the temple. You follow him through the flattened dirt of the village path, pressed down by generations of barefoot devotion. Stone walls rise on either side, painted in ochre, crimson, and night black. Feathered serpents coiling into stars. Jaguar gods with obsidian claws. Men offering their tongues. Women giving birth to the sun. None of it is poetry. None of it symbolic. Here, everything means exactly what it looks like. At the foot of the temple, you pause. The stairs rise like the spine of something ancient and alive. Each step is sharp. Each one is stained with something older than memory, darker than rain. You begin to climb. Halfway up, your legs shudder, your foot slips. You glance back. The boy watches, silent, still. No helping hand, no pity, only the waiting. So you rise again, because here, falling means more than falling. It means you're not worthy, and you need to be worthy even if you don't yet know why. At the top, the world opens. The wind doesn't just blow, it speaks. You see your entire village below. Smoke from hearths rising like prayers. Children darting between fences. Chickens pecking through dust. And there, in front of you, stands the temple altar. Black stone, warm under the sun. Waiting, a priest stands beside it. His face is painted into myth, half sun, half skull. He carries no weapon. He is the weapon. He does not greet you. He does not smile. He simply points to a bowl beside him, petals, chalk, thorned vines. You kneel. Not because you're told, but because something inside you already knows. Here, belief is not required, but kneeling is. And then the priest speaks, softly, to no one, to everyone. You are not just a servant, he says, you're the offering. The words land in your spine, not like poetry, like truth. He lifts a thorn and presses it into your palm. Just enough to draw a single drop of blood. It falls into the bowl, a small sacrifice, a whisper of pain. He stirs it with flower petals and chalk. then places the bowl beside a carved serpent god. Feathers, fangs, eyes open wider than death. The priest lifts the bowl to the sky. No chant, no drum, no choir. Just his breath, long, slow, and still, then silence. And somehow, that silence changes you. He lowers the bowl, places a necklace around your neck, jade and bone, the old kind of adornment, the kind that doesn't decorate, it names you. He speaks again, almost a whisper. You were seen. Then turns and walks away. That's it. No applause, no translation, no explanation. But still, your hands shake. Your chest feels lighter or heavier. You can't tell which, because something passed through you, or maybe into you. You walk back down the temple steps slowly now. Your knees remember reverence. Your feet remember blood. You do not look back. That afternoon, they give you a new task. Chant duty. You are led to the village ball court. There, men clap and hum in rhythm. Boys chase a rubber ball through a stone alleyway. You don't understand the rules, but you understand your role. Keep the rhythm. Repeat the words. Your voice cracks. No one notices. Because the gods don't need your perfection, only your obedience. That night, you return to your hut. A small bowl of tamales waits. One is wrapped in banana leaf. You've learned by now, that one isn't for you. That one's for them. You unwrap the other. Eat slowly. Each bite a reflection. Then, without being told, you take the green one to your altar. Place it gently. No one watches. No one asked. But you do it anyway. Because now you know. You are not just a servant. You are the offering. You lie down, close your eyes, but sleep doesn't come. Only a whisper from your own chest. I knelt today. I bled. I was seen. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. The morning is not your own. Not anymore. It belongs to them. The gods who stitched the world from sky and seed, from breath and blood. You rise, not to stretch or to yawn, but to offer, to yield yourself, once more, to the ancient rhythm that governs all things. Above you, the heavens do not merely hold weather. They are a living map, each color, cloud and breeze a whisper of something sacred. East, the place where the sun is born. North, the breath of the wind. South, the drumbeat of maize. And west, the door that leads to death. You are not merely human. You are a syllable in the mouth of the gods. A flicker of ink in a divine codex that never ends. The altar waits for you, warmed by yesterday's smoke. Its stones cradle feathers and obsidian, still glinting in the dim hush of dawn. You kneel, not from weakness, but from covenant. Your hand reaches for the blade, not sharp like iron, but sacred like memory. You press its edge to your tongue. There is a sting, then a warmth, a taste of metal and earth. A few drops rise like incense into the air. You do not flinch. This is not pain. This is intimacy. A private conversation with eternity. Here, blood is not shame. Blood is not waste. Blood is remembrance. It is proof that you are still bound to those who shaped the stars. The smoke of Kopal spirals upward. You whisper the names of those who came before you. They are listening. They always are. Today is 4 Ajor, the day of the sun, the warrior's number. A time for strength and renewal. But the calendar is not a page. It is a breathing thing. Its glyphs are not symbols. They are beings. Alive, watching, powerful. You learned them before you could walk. You see them when your eyes close. They shape your harvests, your prayers, your fears. You were born beneath a number that sings of struggle. You were told, as a child, what that meant. It still lives inside your chest. Every action echoes its meaning. The stars don't merely shine, they dictate, and you obey. There is no single God here. Only a pantheon, vast as the jungle canopy, each deity dripping with purpose, jaguar gods with blood on their teeth, sky gods cloaked in feathers and fire, maize gods who die each year only to rise again in green shoots and soft rain. They are everywhere, in every leaf, every storm, every illness, and every dream. The Age-Equage, the shaman, walks between worlds. He speaks to spirits you cannot see. He smells like resin and thunder. You do not understand him. You do not question him. In his hut hangs a map of the universe, stitched not with ink but with ash, feathers, and the bones of birds. When he dreams, you listen. When he weeps, you fast. When he dances, you scatter maize in the corners of your home. The gods do not rest, neither can you. Ceremony is not separate from life. There is no word here for secular, no boundary between sacred and routine. When you bathe, you whisper to the goddess of rivers. When you grind maize, you chant thanks to the dying maize lord. When your sister gave birth, the midwife sang in rhythms you did not recognize. The umbilical cord was buried beneath the house like a seed of memory. Everything has weight, even laughter, even silence. You don't live the day, you perform it with ritual, rhythm, and reverence. Each breath is a vow, each movement an offering. Fear is sacred. You do not walk the earth in confidence, you walk in trembling awe. A missed offering might call drought. A broken taboo might invite eclipse. A wrong step could unravel the balance. You remember the day the sun vanished. Midday turned to ink. The sky howled. Children screamed. People threw stones at the heavens, begging the gods to spit back the light. The priests fasted. The village wailed. No fire was lit for 9 days. Since then, even your dreams have been gentler, more careful, more pleading. Here, fear is not weakness. It is devotion. It is a trembling form of love. Temples that touch the sky. You have seen them. The pyramids that scrape the clouds. Stone rising into wind. Steps carved by generations. Corners aligned with constellations older than memory. Each carving is a voice from the past. Each echo of the high priest's chant feels like thunder wrapped in prophecy. From below, you watch. Men in jaguar skins drenched in blood. Women wailing fertility songs with voices like cracked bells. Sometimes there is sacrifice. A bird, a maize cake, a trembling boy. Sometimes only song. But always, always, it is a conversation with the divine. A ritual reminder that you are seen. What happens after death? You were taught early. Death is not departure. It is migration. But not all deaths are honored. The warrior who falls in battle rides the sun across the sky. The woman who dies in childbirth rises with the storm clouds. But the lazy, the shameful, the forgotten, they wander through Xibalba, the underworld, a labyrinth of trials, of trickster gods, endless night, and whispered regret. You avoid caves now. Even the shadows beneath your mat unsettle you. Your place in the machine. You are not free. You are not trapped. You are woven. A cog in a divine design, not meaningless, but not central. Your name was chosen with fire and feather. Your role was written in starlight. You plant where you're told. You pray when the drum sounds. You bleed when the gods are hungry. And yet you feel peace. Because when everything is sacred, everything makes sense. Suffering is a signal, joy is a reward, order is security. Night ritual, sleep beneath the eyes of the gods. The sun sinks and the sky turns to soft ash and violet. You lie on your woven mat, hands folded at your chest. Above you, the stars bloom, not cold or distant, but watching. You whisper a prayer to the moon goddess, whose silver light brushes your brow like a mother's kiss. Your dreams will not be empty. They will be messages, warnings, echoes from the realm beyond. You ask for protection, from sickness, from bad omens, from your own wandering thoughts. And finally, in silence, you surrender. You sleep beneath a sky older than sorrow, a sky filled with gods, each of them whispering, "We see you. We remember your blood." The sun is high overhead, but it does not shine. It watches like a god with no eyelids, no mercy, no blinking. You kneel on the temple's courtyard stone, your bare knees pressed into volcanic rock, hot from the breath of morning. Around you, rows of the faithful bow in silence. No one speaks. The priest passes slowly, barefoot, robed silent. An obsidian blade rests at his hip. In his hands a bowl of incense, its smoke curling like rising prayers. He brushes it across your arms, your face still, no words. The gods are not summoned with noise. They are summoned with devotion and blood. This is not a faith that begs for forgiveness. This is not a prayer whispered in shame. This is a bargain, a pact made with trembling hands and open veins. You were taught this young. The gods hunger, as men do. When they starve, the rains vanish, the maize wilts, the earth cracks, and your people die. You do not fear your gods, you respect them. As a jaguar respects the river it drinks from, cautious, reverent, awake. The temples don't rise like gentle hills. They defy the sky, sharp, deliberate stepped mountains forged by stone and sweat. Each level a stair to judgment. You've climbed them before. Sometimes as a boy, in festival. Sometimes just to prove you weren't afraid. Today, you climb again. Not as a sacrifice. Not yet. Today, you carry offerings. Your hands hold hummingbird feathers bound in cloth. Hidden in the bundle, a single drop of your blood, dried into cotton, beauty, pain. The gods favor both. The drums begin. Slow at first, one deep beat, echoing off the plaza stone, then another. Your feet rise, step, step. The world behind you fades with every step up. Something presses down. Not air, not gravity. Eyes unseen, ancient, watching. You never climb alone. At the summit, smoke thickens. You step inside the chamber. You lower your gaze. The priest is no longer a man. His face is hidden. His skin painted in red spirals and bone-white lines. He is a vessel, a mouth, a mask for divinity. You kneel, extend your hands. The offering is taken, gone in an instant, fed to the brazier. Flames rise, no words spoken, but the gods approve. Yesterday, a prisoner was brought in chains, a tribute from a rival tribe. At sunrise, his heart was lifted skyward. Blood poured down the temple steps, feeding the roots of the world. You did not watch, but you heard. The sacred songs, the final silence, the scream that ended in peace. You've been told since birth, the greatest honor is to be chosen, not just to die, but to be useful in death. And yet a small voice hides inside you, a whisper that wonders, what would it mean to live for the gods, not only die for them? Worship is not confined to blood. It lives in breath, in craft, in silence. Your mother breathes prayer into her clay bowls. Your uncle buries jade in the soil before planting maize. Your neighbors sing when the sky burns orange at dusk. Not to beg, but to thank the gods for returning the sun. Your sister, barefoot, voiceless, wanders the jungle for 13 days. Her silence, an offering for your grandfather's healing, The gods notice these things: discipline, endurance, faith that bleeds, and still there is joy. At the flower festival, the children wear crowns of petals. They dance in circles, they laugh. Even laughter, when sincere, is sacred. In your world, fear and joy do not contradict. They coexist. You do not choose between them. You walk barefoot on the thin obsidian line, balanced, alert, alive. Not all offerings are visible. Some sacrifices stay hidden. Quiet, bleeding in silence. You gave up the girl you loved. She was chosen as priestess. Now she belongs to the gods. You see her sometimes in the white veil, her eyes rimmed in black paint, but you no longer speak. Your brother gave up his voice for a year, bargaining for your father's life. Your cousin limps forever after dancing 7 nights for rain. The gods do not ask for gold. They ask for pieces of comfort, of pride, of flesh, of love. They say the world began in sacrifice. Tezcatlipoca tore out his own eye to light the stars. Quetzalcoatl spilled divine blood to shape man from clay. And so you walk, knowing your own blood is descended from theirs. When your heart beats, it echoes their names. You have dreams, sometimes not of death, but of being overlooked, of never being chosen, of being too small to matter, of being forgotten, by gods, by people, by history. Your people fear obscurity more than pain, because to suffer is to matter. To be chosen is to be remembered. But even now, a whisper stirs inside your thoughts. It grows louder. What if the gods are only us? What if the hunger we feed is our own, projected skyward? You dare not speak it. That whisper, if uttered, would not just bring punishment. It would bring silence. And silence from the gods is worse than death. So you chant, you bleed, you kneel on the burning stone, you play your part. Because belief is not optional. It is the gravity that holds your sky in place. Night falls like a shawl. The temple disappears into shadow. The fire still burns. The drums still throb. The priests move like ghosts. You lie on your mat. You feel the heat of stone still beneath your knees. You dream, feathers drifting into flame, jaguars with god eyes, altars blooming with red. You are afraid, but you are not lost. Your blood still warms your skin. Your breath still reaches the stars. Your name has not been called. Not yet, but tomorrow the gods will ask again. And you will answer. You don't have a word for love. Not like the world yet to come, where one syllable can hold roses and ruin. In your world, love isn't spoken, it's felt, etched into the clay of a water jar, braided into a skirt of bark fiber, roasted into maize, and left before the gods in quiet offering. It lives in silence, in the hush of shared breath beneath the moon carved from bone. Here, touch is language, a glance is a sentence, a shared firelight becomes a conversation. You grow up learning that relationships aren't about owning. They're about balance, like wind brushing reed walls, like river stones softened over time. You don't marry for passion. You marry for seasons, for alliances, for the thread of your mother's name to continue, woven into children you don't yet know. Still, that doesn't mean there's no tenderness. That doesn't mean you haven't known desire. You remember the first. She wasn't promised to you, but her obsidian eyes, and the way she wove baskets tighter than anyone else, they stayed with you. You stole glances as you ground maize, your fingers powdered with silence, but your heartbeat, it gave you away. Desire is not forbidden here. It's not shameful. It's a current, like the river, like lightning, like death. So you did what your elders taught. You offered. Not in words. Words are wind, and wind can lie. You carved her a gourd. You fixed her family's thatch roof. You brought fresh fish and placed it before the elders where she could see. Each act, a syllable in a language older than the stars. And one evening, when the sky bled amber, and her mother wasn't looking, she pressed her wrist to yours. Just once, just long enough. It was enough. That single touch said, I see you too. Sex is not paraded here, nor is it hidden. It simply is, like rain, sometimes slow, sometimes sudden, always sacred. You learn young, not in shame, but in reverence. There are rites, there are taboos, flowers placed under sleeping mats, beads tied in secret colors. Roles exist, yes. Women guide the fire. Men offer their backs, their spears, their sweat. But once the reed doors close and the coals fade, the roles dissolve, and what remains is breath and warmth, and the long sacred ritual of exploration. You're not told to conquer, you're taught to listen, with your fingers, with your chest, with your silence. Children do not belong to any one person. They are lent by the gods, carried by the village, raised in the shadow of ancestors. Even your most intimate acts are not private acts. They are echoes, resonating through time. But still, there is joy. You learn the curves of her back like a sacred path. The exact tilt of her smile after sunset, the rhythm of her breathing before the first bird cries. You rise early, not because you must, but because watching her sleep feels like prayer. There are no diaries, no letters, no songs saved in machines, but you remember. The scent of crushed sage on her wrists, the way she laughed when the parrot stole your sandal, the night your cousin drowned, and she didn't say a word. She just held your hand and made the pain survivable. That, too, was love. Not the kind invented by poets, but the kind shaped by dirt, by ash, by salt water on cheeks. Sometime intimacy means grief, because people vanish. Raiders take them, fevers take them, childbirth takes them, and when they do, there are no therapists, no pills, only ritual. You sit in ash. You eat from broken bowls. And when the morning ends, you hear laughter again. You taste sweetness again. You hold a hand again. Different, but not lesser. In some valleys there's polygamy. In others monogamy. But fidelity isn't about numbers. It's about presence. Were you there when her blood came early? Were you there when the harvest failed? Did you remember which flower she used for her sister's burial braid? That is fidelity. That is devotion. And sometimes that is enough. You are not the only one who longs. There are others. 2 men who fish by day and sleep by night under one mat. 2 women who build a hut upriver, away from stairs sharper than obsidian. There are no written laws against them, only whispers, but still they exist. Quiet revolutions, tucked inside reed walls. Because even here, even in the ancient Americas, the heart refuses to be fenced. And when it's time, because partings always come, you don't say goodbye. You grind maize together. You fold tamales. You leave a carved bead beneath her mat. Your final word. And when you walk away, you do not look back. Not because you didn't love, but because love here faces forward, and you survive by continuing. Years pass. You see young couples in the maize fields, their shy glances, their awkward offerings, and you smile. Because you know this language, and you know how loud it can be, even without a single word. So, would you survive? So, would you survive intimacy in the ancient Americas? Could you love without ever saying love? Could you touch without expectation? Could you give without needing to be answered? You wonder. And in that wondering, you carry them forward. In your hands, in your silence, in every sacred, wordless love you've ever dared to feel. You've lost track of how many days have passed. The sun rises, the sun falls, but the hunger, it never leaves. Nothing really changes. Except the weight in your bones, the deep cracks in your hands, and the quiet list of things you've had to let go, just to stay breathing. You don't live here. You endure here. The maize fields stretch out in every direction, golden but not free. Each stalk stands like a jail bar. You rise before the sun, and your back already aches. You step into the soil as if it owns you. And maybe it does. You're not planting for your children. You're not harvesting for your kin. This crop, like everything else, belongs to the nobles, the priests, the gods. And for them, you are invisible. You dig with a stick, carved from a tree branch, fire hardened at the tip. No iron, no metal, just what the earth gives, and what you can take from it with blistered palms. Your skin breaks, heals, then breaks again. And somehow, it's still not enough. There's no silver in your pouch, because you don't have a pouch. And there's never been any silver. Here, labor is coin. Your body is the payment. The nobles call it tribute. You call it survival. A sack of maize gets you half a gourd of sour drink. 2 days hauling stone earns your daughter a single strip of cotton to wear. And sometimes, if luck softens a little, a merchant might trade salt for your wife's hidden chilies. Chilies she grows in secret behind your hut, beneath banana leaves, where no taxman dares to look. But even that comes with a cost. The merchant always wants more. A slice of your dignity, your quiet, your sweat, without your voice. That's the economy of your world. A pyramid built on backs like yours. Once, you spent 6 long seasons dragging stone for the king's new temple. Jungle paths, ropes twisted from agave, logs rolled under slabs that weighed more than your hope. They called it an honor. They said the gods would bless your family. They didn't say your youngest would die from a cough while you were away. They didn't say your wife would eat leaves for 2 days straight before a neighbor gave her roots to chew. And when you came back, when the final stone was placed and blood was smeared on the altar, you wept, not because it was beautiful, but because the temple still stood, and your family did not. They built gods out of your time, carved monuments from your life. You gave everything and came home to nothing. Once a week, you walk to the roadside market. It's little more than a gathering under palm fronds. There are no prices here, only deals made on nerves and glances. You bring a basket of dried squash, a few strips of bark cloth, a cedar carving, a bird with open wings. You hope to get salt, a bowl that doesn't leak, a smoked fish, maybe a tiny piece of obsidian to fix your wife's broken comb. But barter is no gift. It's a performance. Too eager, and you're robbed. Too proud, and you return with nothing. So you smile with tired lips. You joke with hollow cheer. You act like this isn't life or death, even though it is. You don't own metal. Your axe is a stone tied to wood with vine and spit. Your knife is obsidian, sharp enough to split bone, but it breaks if you drop it. Your baskets are woven from reeds your daughter gathers. Your fishing net was strung by your mother. From agave she twisted herself. Each tool carries a story, and every story smells like sweat, fear, and memory. You dream of copper, of bronze, of blades that don't shatter. But those belong to kings, to foreigners, to gods. You are allowed only bone, wood, stone, and hope. Hope can't cut, but it keeps your hands moving. Once every moon they come. Men in feathers, painted faces, spears tipped in black glass. They do not knock, they do not ask, they take maize, chilies, cloth, even your daughter's embroidered shawl, the one she treasured. They call it tribute. You call it what it is, theft dressed in ceremony. You bow because you must, because you remember your neighbor who didn't, the one who spat at the collector's feet. His children now beg at temple steps. He's gone, swallowed by the spears. So you give, and still it is never enough. You teach your son how to dig, how to bleed without sound. You teach your daughter to trade, with her eyes, not her words. They learn to want less, eat less, hope less, because that's how you survive. By shrinking, by hardening, by not dreaming too loud. You don't imagine rising above this. You don't imagine rising above this. That is your inherit. You only pray to keep them alive long enough to teach their own how to endure. Ants, not land, not gold, just the skill of surviving a world that was never made for you. This is season. The clouds hold back. Your gourds are empty. Your maize is yellow and thin. Even the bugs are hungry. Still, the nobles demand tribute. The priest demands sacrifice. The merchant wants interest on the salt you borrowed months ago. You wonder, is this the year you don't make it? You ask yourself if the gods see you, or if they're just another mask worn by the powerful. Still, you kneel, because in a world where even survival has a price, faith is the only thing they haven't stolen, yet. As dusk settles, you walk home. You traded a carving, 2 days of work, for a bowl of crushed chili. The woman didn't even look you in the eye. You pass the temple again. Its walls glow in the sunset. You know those stones. You know your sweat is in them. But the priest inside doesn't know your name. The king who ordered it never even saw your face. Your life, not yours, just raw material. Mined, spent, forgotten. And yet, you will wake again tomorrow. You will dig. You will haul. You will bleed. Because even in a world where your sweat turns into someone else's gold, you endure. You rise not with the sun, but with the priests. Their voices are the first sounds you hear. Low, rhythmic chants rolling through the darkness like smoke, coiling around your ribs. They don't sing for music. They sing for the gods. They sing because to not sing is to invite death. Or worse, dishonor. You've barely scrubbed the sleep from your eyes when incense sears your nostrils. It clings to your skin like a warning. Today is not just any day. It's marked, etched on calendars older than your people, aligned to the stars with a precision that could humble any astronomer. You try to remember the names: Tezcatlipoca, Quetzalcoatl, Huitzilopochtli. The gods here aren't stories told to children to help them sleep. They're contracts, laws, weather, war, birth, and death. They are watching you, right now. So you do not speak without meaning. You do not eat without permission. You do not look a priest in the eye. Because in this world, your soul is not yours. It is a field being plowed by unseen hands. Every act, bathing, bleeding, planting corn, grinding maize, is either an offering or an offense. You've entered a society where ritual is oxygen. Time does not flow in the ancient Americas. It loops, spirals, counts down, then restarts. Every sunrise you witness is part of a sacred rhythm, calculated by men who wear jaguar pelts and read the heavens like scripture. You are now subject to the Tonalpohualli, the sacred calendar. It knows your day of birth, and it has already judged your fate. You were born under the day of knife and storm. The priest whispered it to you with a look of concern. That means you're cursed with conflict. You are destined to shed blood, yours or another's. You didn't ask for this. But you are this now. So your mornings are not your own. They belong to ceremony. They belong to fate. Today, a young girl, barely 9, cuts her earlobe with an obsidian shard. The blood runs down her cheek and falls into the soil. She winces, but does not cry. Crying would insult the gods. Crying would mean weakness. You're told to do the same. Not as a punishment, as a necessity. Your blood is not private here. It's a currency, and every drop is a prayer. You nick your arm, it burns, not from pain, but from fear. You don't know if the gods want your blood, or if they want more. The fire priest beside you dips a bundle of copal into the flames. Smoke swirls into the sky in thick, sacred tendrils. He whispers the old words, not for you, but for the sky above, where the gods' eyes blink behind clouds. Fire eats death, he says. Fire remembers. You swallow your breath like shame. This world does not allow forgetfulness. At night, the elders pass down laws, but they do not read from books. They paint laws in sand, sing them in riddles, or carve them into memory. Every lesson is a parable. Every rule a trap for the careless. You learn quickly. To step on a priest's shadow is to invite illness. To touch your mouth before bathing invites infertility. To speak during an eclipse means you're brave enough to challenge a god, and stupid enough to die for it. The justice system here isn't a system. It's a mirror held up to your spirit. You can't argue with it. You can't plea. If you dishonor your community, there will be consequences, not always from man, but always from somewhere. They don't always come quickly. That's the worst part. The gods are patient. You used to think human sacrifice was savagery, but now you see something else. A boy, barely 13, is chosen to be the Txiptla, a vessel for the god Tezcatlipoca. For a year, he lives as the god incarnate. He is given fine food, jewelry, maidens. He sings in ceremonies and walks with guards. His feet never touch dirt. And then, on the day marked by fate, he walks calmly to the temple steps and offers his chest to the obsidian blade. He smiles. The people weep, not for him, but because they are proud. You flinch. You cry, you whisper, why? A man beside you answers without looking, would you rather the sun not rise? You finally understand this isn't cruelty, it's duty. To them, sacrifice is what keeps the world spinning. You begin to see yourself differently. Not as an individual, but as a thread in the world's fabric. And if your thread is plucked, then it was needed elsewhere. When a woman gives birth, it is not just a moment of life, it is a war. 4 women, midwives and priestesses, surround the mother. They chant, they scream, they brandish knives in the air to frighten the spirits that would steal the newborn. If the mother dies, she is honored as a warrior, for childbirth is battle. And if the baby survives, it is bathed in sacred water, while the priest tells the child, "This is not your body. This is borrowed. This is not your voice. It speaks only when truth lives in it. This is not your life. It is the gods' favor. Return it well. You watch from the shadows. And you wonder if you could ever give or receive life with such fierce humility." There is an eclipse. The drums begin before the light even fades. The people rush to the plazas. Mothers smear ashes on their children's foreheads. Men shout prayers while facing east. Others fling obsidian knives into the earth to pin down the sun's attacker. You ask what's happening. A child, no older than 10, replies, "The moon is eating the sun because we failed to offer enough today." You ask what will happen if the sun disappears. She shrugs calmly. Then this world ends, and the next begins. You stand among thousands who believe, who chant, who fear, who trust, and in that moment, you are the outsider. Not because you don't understand, but because you do. In the ancient Americas, you learn that spirituality is not optional. It's not a day of the week. It is the spine of society. Everything, corn, conquest, death, love, war, weather, is married to myth. You must earn your place in every cycle, not by thought, but by action. So you bleed when the priest says bleed, burn incense when the stars align. Apologize to the mountain before you take from it. Wash yourself before touching a newborn or a corpse. You live with the terror and beauty of believing that every moment matters, that your breath could nourish gods, that your silence could offend them, that your death could mean the world lives another day. And now you lie in the dark. The sky is clean again. The eclipse has passed. The moon has spared the sun for now. You hold your breath as a breeze touches your cheek, and you wonder if that too was a sign. You don't know whether to thank someone or apologize. Because the ancient Americas have taught you, you don't live outside belief. You breathe it, you bleed it, you are it, and still, you are being watched. You kneel where the sun burns the earth clean. The dirt beneath your knees is hot enough to blister. Your hands are bound behind your back with rawhide, tight as judgment, biting into the skin where your ancestors once wore feathers and pride. Sweat runs down your spine like slow fire. The midday sun is merciless, but you are not allowed to flinch. Not here, not now. This is the trial of the blood sun, and you have been chosen, or perhaps surrendered. No one speaks as you're brought into the sacred ring. Only the wind sighs, and the crows in the distance call out like heralds of fate. The ground has been cleared, blackened by the fire that burned last night. The fire meant to summon the gods and make the earth watch. You remember the morning. The elders stood in a circle at dawn, their breath white in the cool air, their voices deep, rhythmic, older than memory. Your name was called, not as a question, but as a sentence already carved in stone. You did not resist, because in your world resistance is swallowed, because obedience is your inheritance, because some names are not spoken, they are handed over to the fire. Now you kneel in silence, the feathers of your village watching from behind carved wooden masks, eagle-beaked, jaguar-fanged, serpent-tongued. Not even your mother's eyes can be found behind those faces. They are gods now, or spectators, or executioners. And you are not a warrior. You are not a priest, you are only a vessel, a thing the divine may pass through or crush. A priestess stands in front of you, her voice climbing into the sky in a chant that feels like both a lullaby and a warning. Her hands move over your skin with pigment made of crushed bone and sacred clay, red and black, drawn in spirals, suns and thorns. Each line is a map, each mark a vow. Your mask lies beside you, unpainted, blank, waiting. If you survive this, it will be filled with the colors of your soul. If you fail, it will burn with the rest of your body. They blindfold you, not to make you helpless, but to strip you of what you think you know. You are led by children's voices, thin, high, and strangely calm. You recognize some, your cousin, your neighbor's daughter, the little boy who once brought you stolen fruit. They chant in soft rhythm, pulling you forward, left, now forward, now pause, step, again. Beneath your bare feet, the sacred stones gleam. Obsidian, flint, shattered glass, arranged in runes meant to slice truth from flesh. Each step is a prayer and a punishment. Your souls bleed in silence. Your breath catches in your throat, but you do not cry out. That is forbidden. You walk as if remembering a dream. A lullaby your mother hummed while braiding your hair. The wind on your skin the day your brother never came back from the hunt. The ache of wanting, not food, not sleep, but understanding. Step, cut, step again. At the center you reach the bowl. Smoke rises from its edges, rimmed with coals. In the middle, water, glimmering like the moon. You kneel, you drink. The pain retreats into something sacred. They bring you before the grandmothers, veiled women who sit in a perfect circle, their faces carved with lines so deep they look like maps of rivers long dried up. They speak not in questions, but in riddles. What spirit guards the western ridge at dusk? How many petals must fall before the maze is ready? What was your grandfather's second name? The one only spoken after rain? The answers are not in books. They are in bone. They are in memory that is not yours, but borrowed. You answer in halting whispers, hoping that instinct is enough. 2 answers bring nods. 1 earns silence. The 4th earns a spit in the dust. The eldest woman raises a torch. She does not burn you. She places it near your shoulder until your skin screams, not in flame, but in warning. This, she says, is where your roots were weak. You nod. You carry the sting with you. It will never leave. Now the drums begin. They bind your arms and legs in cords, ceremonial but tight, not to paralyze you, just to make you feel every motion of your bones. The circle forms around you, wide and filled with shadow. The drums rise, 1, then 3, then 7. They do not guide you, they command you. The dance is not for beauty. It is for blood. Each motion tells a story. The rising of the first sun, the drowning of the second, the famine that cracked the riverbed, the warrior who walked backward into death. You spin, you fall, You rise again and again and again. Your lungs burn. Your heart races so fast it begins to speak in another language. Your knees buckle, but you do not break. To stop is to be devoured, not by beasts but by memory, by the shame of returning incomplete. And still you dance until your blood stains the earth like ink from a sacred scroll. The cave swallows you. You are alone now. No mask, no drums, no chants, just a bowl of water, just an obsidian shard, just the dark. They say this test is not about what you survive, but about what you hear. You sit, you wait. At first, nothing, then too much. The cave breathes, the walls seem to pulse. The silence is not quiet, it whispers. You hear your father's voice again, not alive, but not gone. You see the face of the girl you loved, the one who was chosen before you and never came back. You see your own shadow, moving when you do not. Then the worst thing, nothing. A nothing so large it wraps itself around your ribs and squeezes. You pick up the obsidian shard. Your hands tremble. You bring it to your skin, not to cut, but to draw. A circle around yourself. Dust rising like breath. You close your eyes and say the only words you remember from your grandmother. The ones she whispered when storms came too fast. I am here. Once, twice, 100 times. Not for glory, not for power. Just for being. Just for surviving what should have unmade you. When the cave opens, the sun is pale gold. You are still standing. Your legs barely remember how, but your eyes are different now. They do not search, they reflect. The priestess steps forward, her face unreadable. Then the faintest nod. You are lifted, carried, not like a victor, like a witness, like a vessel the gods refuse to shatter. Your old mask is gone. Your new one is waiting, painted with crimson spirals and gold rays. Not beautiful, not fierce, but true. You wear it. And for the first time in your life, something inside you feels still. That night, under the firelight, as chants rise like wind through feathers, the priestess leans close. She whispers, the gods were starving, but they tasted your soul, and they decided to wait. You sit beside the fire, bones aching, blood dried to dust, and realize the wind goes quiet. Not the way it did earlier, when it flicked at the trees and played in the tall grass like a child with nowhere to be. Number, this is different. Now it hushes the world like a grandmother pulling a blanket over your shoulders. Now it smooths the air with hands worn from blessing things. Now it lays its cool fingers on your eyes, gently closing them. You've stopped moving. And this stillness, it isn't exhaustion anymore, it's surrender. All day long, Your body worked, hauling, holding, hurting in silence. But now the silence answers back. Above you, the stars don't shine down. They surround you, threaded through the thatch roof, pressed into the dirt, dusted across your own skin like ancient freckles you only just now remembered to notice. Your sleeping mat smells like earth and reed. When you lie on it, it feels like the lap of something old, something alive, something that's known you longer than your name. You glance toward the fire pit. Your mother is there, cupping the last glow of coals in her hand, like she's cradling breath itself. She sprinkles a pinch of cedar ash. Smoke rises, soft and curling. She speaks into it in Nahuatl. You don't catch every word, but you hear the names, the ones who came before, and the ones who never left. She's blessing the passage from today into whatever tomorrow dares to be. In your world, sleep is not a pause. It is not forgetting. It is not nothingness. Sleep is crossing over. It is the act of stepping into another world. Your elders told you, when your eyes close, your spirit travels to where the ancestors rest, to where gods wear the skin of jaguars, to where unborn souls float like seeds waiting to bloom. So you don't just slip, you prepare. As any traveler must, you breathe in, not just air, but memory. You sit upright, hands on knees, thumb pressed to palm. That old gesture your grandfather taught you, the one that reminds your body it is sacred ground. You whisper your name, not out loud, but inside, over and over, as if tying your soul back to your chest. Only then do you lie down, wrapped in cotton cloth, not a blanket, a veil, a shroud, the same that cradles the new and the dead and the brave. Because tonight, like birth, like burial, like battle, is sacred. First, you hear your father's breathing, slow, wide, as though he's inhaling the entire forest. Then your sister beside you, quick, soft like wings beating in a dream. A baby coughs from across the room. A lullaby hums to soothe it. You don't know the words, but your bones remember them. It's not just people who breathe. The home breathes. The clay walls release the day's heat. The thatched roof exhales with the cooling night. The fire pit wheezes smoke like the final sigh of an old storyteller. Even the earth beneath you rises and falls, subtle as a sleeping chest. This dark, you do not fear it. This dark is not absence, it is presence. It holds the things daylight can't carry. The gods are close now. You hear them in the reeds. You feel them just outside, pacing like animals, too wild to be seen, too kind to harm. You don't imagine monsters. You look for meaning. And the night always offers it, quietly but freely. And then you are no longer here. You are dreaming, walking the white road, the sacred one. the one that stretches across the known world, from volcano to ocean, mountain to underworld. Your feet are bare, but you don't bleed. Every step leaves flowers behind. Beside you, a jaguar walks. No words pass between you, but still you understand. He is not your fear. He is your mirror, your echo, your other self. You are older in this dream. Your arms bear tattoos. Smoke weaves through your hair. And you realize this isn't a fantasy. This is a version of you. Somewhere else, someone else, or maybe who you're becoming. You will forget the details when you wake, but the feeling, that will stay. Like an echo in your ribs, a heat behind your eyes. A memory you don't remember making, but which feels unmistakably yours. The fire has died. The stars begin to vanish. The world hasn't fully returned yet, but you stir. Not because anyone calls your name, not because of a rooster, not because of a bell, because the world is waking, and you are stitched into its fabric. The pulse of it wakes the pulse in you. You sit up, slow, stiff in your knees but soft in your chest. The cloth falls from your shoulders. You fold it carefully. Still, you do not speak, not yet. The silence is still sacred, and you must honor it. Your mother is at the fire again, adding new kindling as if she's placing offerings. Your father is already feeding the birds. You smell damp leaves, ash, the first breath of maize from a new day. You're here again, returned to your body, to your family, to this side of the veil. You glance toward the edge of the hut. The shadows hold stories. You wonder, did the ancestors walk beside you last night? Did the gods murmur your name? You'll never know. But one thing you do know. You've never been alone. Not truly. Not even in the dark. You are not a child anymore. Yesterday, you rose to labor. Today, you rise to endure. Tomorrow, you may rise to defend, and one day, you may rise to die. But every rising is an act of ceremony, a rebirth, a vow, and sleep. Sleep was never rest. It was reflection. It was return. Now, you carry the dream like a clay jug, invisible, heavy, sacred. It sloshes as you move through the day. You don't speak of it, but it shapes you. There are no lullabies here, no down pillows, no iron locks against fear. But what you have is older than comfort. You are cradled in belonging, in memory, in the breath of stars and gods who do not leave. You close your eyes for one last moment, a parting gift to the night, and when you open them again, the world begins again. Not hidden, vanished. The warmth, the voice, the golden tongue of the jungle, gone. All that's left is breath. A low, ancient breath rising from the earth. The jungle isn't asleep. It's awake in a different way now. Watching, remembering. You sit beside the ashes of a fire long dead. Your body, bruised, bitten, burned, no longer feels like yours. It's something borrowed, a vessel of pain. You obeyed, you bled, you served, but none of it made you real. Not to them, not to yourself. You weren't born of this soil. These aren't your gods, this isn't your blood, and yet you're still here. You endured, you survived. Children dream of jaguars in reed beds. Old women hum to the bones of the dead. Warriors sleep beside obsidian knives, but your eyes stay open. You search the sky for home, Orion, Cassiopeia, something familiar. But these stars are strangers, cold gods with no names, and that unknowing. That is the only thing that feels human now. When you first woke here, there was dirt in your nails, smoke in your lungs, drums in your chest. You thought it was a dream. You thought you could pass this like a test. But the world swallowed you, whole, raw, unapologetic. Now you're just a soul in borrowed skin, sitting under a sky you can't read. You remember her, the woman who wrapped your bleeding feet in silence. You remember the boy with no teeth who taught you to grind maize. You remember the man who spat at your feet and turned away. They will forget you. They were always meant to. And yet, you are here. No song will be sung, no scroll will be written. But maybe your breath will linger in the salt on your skin, in the steam of boiling corn, in the way you looked at the stars and asked only to be seen. Maybe the wind noticed, maybe the land won't forget. Here, people don't die. They become birds, rivers, dust, in the lungs of the living. And their stories, they root themselves in someone else's belly like seeds, and one day they grow. You are part of that soil now. Even if you wake tomorrow in your bed, in your time, in your body, some part of you will stay here, barefoot, holding a clay bowl, listening to the conch, looking up, still searching for a name that feels like home. Maybe you were never meant to survive this. Maybe you were only meant to witness, to taste fear, to know what history books never could. You weren't the hero. You weren't chosen. You were a ghost with breath. And still, you mattered, because you remembered. And sometimes, that's the most anyone can do. If this story settled into your bones, don't keep it quiet. Tell someone. Tell them what the ancient world did to you. Tell them how it changed the way you see yourself. Because if enough of us remember, maybe we were never meant to vanish after all.